For our first location of 2026, we're heading just slightly north of Scone to a place called Mount Wingen. To the casual observer, this mountain probably doesn't stand out much amongst the surrounding hills and valleys. From a geology point of view, you're looking at sandstone and clay sediments, so this area is nothing particularly unique or awe-inspiring. However, on closer observation, you may notice changes in vegetation as you move up the mountainside. Examination of the clay would also suggest it's been baked and is almost brick-like. Cracks and fissures are also visible, occasionally with steam rising out from somewhere underground. There might even be a sulfur smell in the air. And then you come to this. Here there is a sharp increase in temperature. A haze emanates from the soil and rocks. And on some days, it's possible to even see smoke and fire. So what is going on here? The local Aboriginal mob used to frequent this area due to the warmth emanating from the ground, and they would use the heat to keep warm, cook, and forge tools. In fact, in the local dialect, Wingen means fire. When the European settlers first came to this area, they saw smoke billowing from somewhere and naturally thought there must be a fire. Upon inspection, they couldn't find any fire, so they concluded that it had to be an active volcano. Word spread of this fairly exciting discovery, and geologists were brought in to examine the area. It was the geologist Reverend Charles Wilton who first noted the distinct lack of igneous rocks and a volcanic crater. He concluded that the fissures and cracks in the sandstone and clay sediments, the appearance of the rocks themselves, and the sulfur smell and vapors were a product of heat, but from an entirely different source unrelated to volcanic activity. He worked out that what was producing all of these things was actually a burning coal seam. It is not exactly known the depth of the coal seam, but it has been roughly estimated to be about 30 meters underground. It's also unknown what set this coal seam alight. It is thought that the coal seam likely existed on the surface for a time, and during that time a bushfire or a lightning strike ignited the coal, though spontaneous combustion isn't outside the realm of possibilities. It is moving in a southward direction at a rate of 1 meter per year, and because it's possible to track the movement of the burning, it's been estimated that the coal seam has been burning for at least 5,500 years, if not longer, making it the oldest burning coal seam in the world. The coal seam itself would have begun life as organic matter deposited way back in the Permian when a lot of this region was swamplands. Over the years, the organic matter would have experienced compression, tectonic activity, and a degree of weathering and erosion. The overlying sand and clay sediments are Triassic in age and would have been deposited in a marine environment. Since then, uplift and weathering and erosion have produced the rolling hills and valleys we now see today. Unfortunately, on the day we went to have a look at this location, there wasn't too much happening at the top of the mountain. There was a distinct sulfur smell the closer we got, and once at the top you could absolutely feel the heat and see a haze coming off the soil and rocks. A local who had done this walk a number of times told us that there can be fire and smoke billowing out, but it all depends on the day. The most amazing thing is that this spot here represents where the coal is currently burning, but way back when Reverend Charles Wilton figured out what was going on, it would have been happening in a completely different location somewhere north of this spot. So sometimes even innocent looking mountains and valleys can still produce some pretty neat geological features.